Hello, PreCalc students. This time I am going through page 1 of the 1.4 through 1.6 Retake Prep sheet. So number 1 here, stating the domain. I first of all focus on two things here. I got this x in the bottom of the ratio or rational expression, so x for sure cannot be 0. That's going to be part of my domain. Also, I look inside the radical. First of all, this expression cannot be negative, so it has to be greater than or equal to 0. But since it's in the denominator, it cannot be 0 as well. So I'm going to scribble that out there. So this is the second expression that's going to develop my domain. So again, I add the 1 over, divide by 3, and this is the other part of my domain. Now, since I have to have x's greater than 1/3 and cannot be 0 from over here, I can simply say this is my domain, because this domain does not include 0 as well. So we could have both of these, or just this one for our domain restriction. Number 2, to simplify this, I'm going to go ahead here and kind of make a new looking fraction here. 3h is my common denominator on top. 6h is my common denominator in the bottom. So this one gets a 6, this gets a 6, this gets an h, this gets an h. So in the bottom numerator, I get 6 plus 5h. In the top, this needs a 3, this needs a 3, this needs an h, this needs an h to adjust to the new denominator. So now I get 15 minus 1h. Now it is time to perform the old keep, switch, flip, or multiply by the reciprocal. So I take my first, or my top fraction, or rational expression, and multiply by the reciprocal. Multiply by the reciprocal of the denominator rational expression. Alrighty. We can reduce. These h's cancel. The 3 and the 6 reduce. And that's that. So one final answer could be 15 minus h times 2 over 6 plus 5h. That would be okay. We could distribute that 2 in the top as well and rewrite it this. So either one of these would be perfectly correct. 100% the answer. Number 3. With this one here, we want to start by doing any factoring we can. And what I like to do is make, since it's multiply, I'm going to put everything in the top. So this first one here, I can go ahead, and again, however you factor, factors of 21 that add up to 10 are -7 and -3. Over here, I can see a common factor of 2x can come out. So that give me x plus 8. Down in the bottom here, I go ahead, standard binomials here, xx. The factors of 56 that subtract to 1, that's going to be plus 8 and minus 7. That goes back to one of our more interesting math facts way back then. And this one here does not factor. It is the sum of squares. Can't do anything with that. So now we can go ahead, and what can we cancel? We can cancel this with this. Common factors top and bottom reduced to a 1. This and this. And that's all we get right. So my final answer, I'm going to rearrange this. I'm going to do the 2x, x minus 3, leave that b. And down here we get x squared plus 9. You could distribute that 2x through the top, but you do not have to. Continuing here with number 4. This is a least common denominator problem. So we have to think of this as a single factor, this as a single factor. So we have two distinct denominator factors. Now that means this 5 has to get multiplied by the 2x plus 3. And then this minus 2 has to get multiplied by the denominator factor it does not have compared to the common denominator as that. So now we've got to do a little distribute here and distribute carefully that negative 2. The denominator is still what it was. And now I get 10x plus 15 minus 6x plus 2. And simplifying the x pieces, I get 4x. Simplifying the numbers, I get 17. And again, the denominator does not change. And we do not have to expand out the denominator there. So if everything went according to plan, we're in good shape there. Except I got 13. Anyway, disregard that comment. Moving on to 5. Okay, so number 5 here, find all real solutions. Looking at this, looks like this is not going to be a readily factorable problem, so I'm going to go ahead and jump right into the quadratic formula. A equals 3, B equals negative 9, and C equals 4.5. So now away I go here. Y equals the negative of b plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 81, minus 4 times 3 times 4.5, all over 2a, which is 6. So again, I'm going to do a rewrite. Not my favorite thing to do, but pretty much required here. 81 minus 18, I think that's 54 over 6. Continuing here, 9 plus the square root of 27 over 6. 27 can be split into 9 times 3. So again, another rewrite. So square root of 9 times the square root of 3 over 6. And 9 plus or minus the square root of 9 is 3. So root 3 over 6. 3 can come out of here twice. 3 can come out of here once, and a 3 can come out of here 3 times. So my final answer is going to be 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 all over 2. And again, we're supposed to leave it in simplest radical form. So we are done. Moving on. Number 6. This one, all sorts of ways to do it here. My common denominator is going to be the 6. So to clean this up quick, multiply both sides by that same common denominator, 6. Now distribute. I get 24. Here, you can write this as 30 times 1 plus 2x all over 3 if you want. Over here, the 6's cancel, so we get x plus 15. We can reduce here. This is going to be 10. I'm going to go a little slow here and do a few rewrites. I'm going to distribute that 10. Okay, I'm going to collect my variables or constants here. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 34 over. I'm going to subtract this x over. So these are gone, this is gone. So I'm going to get 19x equals negative 19. Oh, this is going to work out quite nicely. They don't always do, but this one does. Okay, moving on. Number 7. This one I first see I can factor a 6 out. That is always the first thing you want to do. Take out any greatest common factors that you can. Reduces the numbers substantially. Now in this case, I'm going to use that substitution because this is not a true quadratic, but I can make it a quadratic by saying, hey, I'm going to substitute m in for x cubed. So I'm going to get 6m squared, or 6 times the quantity m squared, times 6, or minus 6m, minus 40 equals 0. And again, however you factor, using the crisscrossy thing, you're going to get m minus 10, m plus 4. Keep the equals 0 flowing with it. What I like to do now is put back my x cubed in here. It's an easy place to substitute it back because this was an x problem, not an m problem for starters. And now I'm going to use my zero product property and say that x cubed minus 10 equals 0. So x cubed equals 10. And I'm going to cube root both sides. So x equals the cube root of 10 for one answer. Over here, the zero product property also applies. Subtract that 4. And we can take a cube root of a negative. That's perfectly fine. So this answer is x equals the cube root of negative 4. No plus or minus. That only goes with even rooting. Alrighty. And number 8, excuse me, here. So the key move here is to isolate the radical. And then, now that's isolated, I'm going to square both sides. So the left side comes out to be this. The right side will be the foiling of this, which comes out to be x squared minus 2x plus 1. And again, like before, we're going to do some bringing stuff over all on one side. Oh, this is a plus, so this is a minus, which makes this a minus. Okay. So these cancel, these cancel. We do want to get 0 by itself, so it follows the quadratic-y stuff there. And this cancels. So this is an easy factor here. And now our zero product property says x equals 0, or x equals 4. So now when we do these, we have to test these back into the original here. So if I go ahead here and test 0, I get the square root of 2 times 0 plus 1 plus 1. does that equal 0? Well, over here I get root 1 plus 1, does that equal 0? And that is a no way. That's gone. Over here, if I take 2 times 4 plus 1 in the radical, plus 1, does that equal the 4, which is my x? So all this becomes 9. The square root of 9 is 3 plus 1. Does that equal 4? Yep, that does. So here's my answer. So this is page 1 of the Retake Prep in preparing for your retake. Adios.